Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NFPL Midwest semifinal here from High Velocity in Canton, Michigan. We've had some issues with the internet and the stream and everything going on, and now looks like the score has been tied 1-1 in favor of, well, not in favor of anybody, I guess, but I do believe that was Cadence that just scored. Scoreboard is not updated, so check that for a second. You will see the time start to move once we figure things out up here in the box. My name is Garrett Pogg, broadcasting live from my humble abode in Howell, Michigan, about 30 minutes west of the location you're looking at right now, as part of a NFPL semifinal doubleheader, with the second game set to take place in Chandler, Arizona, between Brusa and Colorado, both familiar names in the playoff scene. Unfamiliar to the playoff scene, though, is Cadence SFC, a 2-4 record. Got 2 early wins against Inter Detroit and is now just hanging on, trying to see if they can push their way into the finals, being hosted in the Southwest Division in 2 weeks from today. That's Ducks. Send it over to Schwartz. We'll set up this matchup here in just a little bit. And we have confirmed it is 1-0 in favor of Futsal Factory. Not sure who scored that first goal, as again, we are having some camera issues, some internet difficulties, but regardless, we're live now. Great to have you here. Futsal Factory, it's been the complete opposite story of them. They've been running through the Midwest Division, 6-0 within 18 points, reigning over the top of the Midwest Division up to this point. Only 3 teams in the Midwest this season. Last game they won via forfeit against Cadence on March 22nd. Cadence failed to show up that afternoon, and then they ended up losing their following game to Inter Detroit for Inter Detroit's only win of the season. So they finished at 1-5, just a game short of this semifinal matchup. Camera has now fallen ill, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Far too early to fade to black just yet. Let's talk about some of these teams up to this point. For Cadence, they're traveling in with a team that is largely not played so far this season. Their only player that has scored is number 1, Ovi Solis, who is not starting in today's match. On the other side of Futsal Factory, it's been Thomas Dono leading the way for the Midwest Division with 14 goals, 3 assists. Scored 5 goals in his very first matchup of the year. The former forward in outdoor soccer for Macalester University, a D3 school out in Minnesota. Here's a shot. Almost gets it past Damron. And speaking of household names, that's a guy you want to pay attention to. Robert Damron, number 1, a National Player of the Year finalist, as well as one of the standouts for that men's national team in the United States. As Cadence retains possession now. Along with the starting lineup for Futsal Factory is Renan Pavia, Graham Unsworth, Guy Ramos, and the 2 guys we mentioned, Thomas Dono and Robert Damron. So you see that beautiful starting lineup graphic right in front of you there. Like we talked about, the big names to watch, Robert Damron, obviously the household name, and Thomas Dono, 14 goals, 3 assists on the season. Although the other 3 guys, all great players for matches. Renan Pavia, Guy Ramos, as well as Graham Unsworth have all scored up to this year. Both scored and assisted. So Thomas Dono to lead the charge now. Finds his player down at the bottom. It's going to be a shot off the way. That's Unsworth. Wide right of the net. Cadence SFC starter Edric Padilla in the pivot spot. Jonathan Jr. and Anderson Diaz as the alas. Geraldo Ramirez as the fixo. And Edouard Bande as the keeper. The only player with an assist out of this lineup. Semifinal matchup and a largely just unfamiliar with this Futsal Factory team. Not sure if they did any sort of film study or anything like that. This has been a Cadence team that has rotated a lot of different players in, both internationally as well as some of their young players from their academy group. You may remember last year they failed to win a single game because they were using only academy players. So playing kids against grown men, not a very fun matchup to have. Here's Damron trying to get involved in the offense. Far corner. Gets out of that double team. Damron swings it around. Offense. Able to retain possession. Gets Padilla out of the net. Not able to capitalize as Graham Unsworth. Way too high of the net. That was Edouard Bande, the goalkeeper. That was out of the net on that play. Keys to the game for Futsal Factory. They talk about transition defense being the number one thing they want to limit. They want to limit those transition opportunities for Cadence SFC. The 1v1 defending also a big priority as well, as you see a 2v1 defending opportunity there as they managed to retain, or steal possession, I should say. Not able to make anything of it, though. Goes back the other way. Oh, not quite. Here's a quick shot. Almost got it past Bande. That was Marlon de Fritas trying to score a quick one. Had the whole team on the other side of the court. Defense not ready for that one. An excellent save from Edouard Bande. The first save we have seen from him this afternoon. That pass just a little too high. Possession goes back to Futsal Factory. That number 13 signature number for the head coach, Drew Ducker. 6th season with Futsal Factory. I should say in total. That includes the Ann Arbor Mud Puppies as well. That's a shot off the legs of Bande, taken by Guy Ramos. Since they've been Futsal Factory, combined record for Ducks has been 21, 16, and 1. Finally able to get over that 500 number this season with a perfect 6-0 record. Here's a shot way too high from Cadence. Send it back the other way. Score is 1-1. Just a little before midway through this first period. Bande trying to get involved in the offense, almost lackadaisically. As possession will go back to the Factory. Here's Ducker. Finds a player inside, dangerous territory, wants a foul. Not going to get it, though. It's Bande being able to fall on it. We'll roll that ball towards his players. We're doing our best to catch some of the numbers on these guys. That's Jonathan Jr. with the ball. He's passing it off. Again, this is largely a roster I'm unfamiliar with, as these are a lot of new guys playing in the playoff semifinal. So we'll see just how well the chemistry is amongst these men. Stealing that ball. That's David Magalhaes with the press defense. Here's a steal. Here's Drew Ducker trying to get a shot in. Magalhaes with a shot off the chest of Bande. And out of bounds, being able to retain possession. Almost double team, though. Are they able to steal it? That's Magalhaes trying to keep possession alive. Not quite. Cadence will retain the ball. Offensive key to the game for Futsal Factory. They said they wanted to push the pace. So when they have the ball in their hands, they want to be able to maintain the offensive possession, of course, but try to score in quick succession. So we'll see how they're able to do that throughout this game. 1-1 score so far. It looks like some sort of foul call was made just outside of that. Almost looks like an octagon kind of circle outside of the Cadence goalpost. Wall will form directly in front of Bonde. Thomas Dono is going to stand behind the keeper, try to get something in there. That's Magalhaes taking a shot wide right, out of bounds. Here's Geraldo Ramirez starting off here. It was Anderson Diaz that let the ball go through his foot, so possession switches back. Andrew Schwartz will put it back into Ducks. Drew Ducker is his full name. Ducks is his nickname, for those not familiar. Magalhaes wants a shot, begging for a goal. He's taken a lot of shots already, none to hit in between the posts just yet. Anderson Diaz able to get possession back for his team. Here's Cadence with the ball, wearing those interesting looking blue and pink. Not sure what if that's a fade or some sort of. There's a word for it that I'm losing my mind on right now. White shorts for them. Some sort of ombre combination between those two colors. Diaz able to get it back. No, excuse me, that's Ramirez. Ramirez wants it back. Here's a steal. Transition opportunity here. Magalhaes with another shot. Straight into the chest of Bonde. Another save. Cameron sends it across the way. Wanagee, not going to get him. Shot off the leg of Robert Damron. Great save there. Shot taken by Jonathan Jr., the starting Ala, playing in his first game of the season this evening. Magalhaes wants a shot. Nothing there. Yarley Martins is checked back in, the Venezuelan from Madonna University. Marlon de Freitas coaches at Madonna, so obviously starting to get some sort of connection between the university. Here's Ducks with a perfect opportunity. Not able to put it in, though. One call to save. Wasn't able to get that clear shot off, but had a one-on-one chance with the keeper and tried to do some sort of back heel trick. Not able to capitalize, so Futsal Factory will retain possession and start over. Magalhaes gets it to Martins. Off the mark. And that's a goal. Not sure what happened there. Obviously some sort of confusion on the court. So they managed to score. Here's Ducks. That was Ducks on the goal. Assist from whoever took that corner. We'll make sure to get that number for you. But obviously the defense is not ready. Referee blew the whistle, and that is an interesting... That's an interesting goal right there. Was not ready for that one. My apologies, folks. Broadcasting remotely, so what you see on the screen is what I see. There's been some difficulties and troubles with some camera operation as well as internet here. So again, all of us here at the National Futsal Premier League trying our best to give you the best viewing experience possible. And Futsal Factory has now gone up 2-1 midway through the first period. Ball sent back the other way. Robert Damron trying to get the possession started early. Defense almost not ready there. They're able to kick the ball away and force, or at least give them some time to be able to catch up. Looks like that's Cole Russell. Had a successful season up to this point. Yarley Martins with a shot off the leg of Bonte. Another good save there. He's had a few good ones this game already, despite the 2-1 deficit. Dono wants some sort of trick shot there as Cole Russell. Excuse me, that was Renan Pavia. Able to get another corner. Sends it out. Here's Unsworth. Diaz will flip it out of bounds. Possession goes back to the factory. Ball sent back the other way. Dameron wait to get it out of that space and reset the possession for the other team. Thomas Dono wanted Yarley Martins there, not able to get it. Pavia deflects that pass, so it'll roll back to Dameron's way. Thomas Dono by himself sends it towards the middle. Yarley Martins with the shot. Nope. Deflected off the leg of a Cadence player. So the ball will reset towards Futsal Factory's way. It looks like there is some sort of injury going on with one of the Cadence players. That's Jonathan Jr. They cannot afford to lose anybody. They only showed up to the building with 7 players. It looks like they have some more guys that have came in since then, but they're sitting on the bench for now. But with limited numbers, they cannot afford to lose anybody up at this point. And Cadence is going to take a timeout, down 2-1 here in the Midwest Finals. The NFPL semifinals. Winner of this goes to the Southwest to face either Brusa or Colorado Futsal Academy. We'll be back on the other side of this. Ball resumes back into play, and it looks like Jonathan Jr. is okay, so glad to see that there. Here's Philip Kozlucki in the game now for the first time this afternoon. One of the 5 players who's getting their first touches in tonight's game, the Midwest Finals, NFPL semifinals here on the NFPL YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody watching this evening. Kozlucki looking around, finds his teammate, far side wing. Deflection by Dono. Possession will stay with Cadence. That's Anderson Diaz to take it out. Quick shot and a great save there from Robert Dameron. Second save of the afternoon. Another chance for Cadence to possibly put one in. Weak shot off the foot of Jonathan Jr. Not able to get it into the back of the net. 2-1 lead for Futsal Factory. FFA, wearing those all-black Puma kits. New Puma sponsorship obtained this past summer. Has been well regarded amongst the Futsal Factory community. Yarly Martins trying to make something happen here. A lot of crazy footwork. Taking on a defender one-on-one. Managed to get out of the double team. Here's Magalhae swinging around. Gets the ball back into his possession. Here's a shot from Schwartz. Not able to put it in. Wide left, had his teammate there towards that left post. Bande was there to make the save regardless, though, if it needed it. So Cadence still hanging on throughout this game. It would be quite a shocker if a team that has not won a game since February 2nd would make their way to the NFPL championship game, and on April 26th, being hosted by the Southwest Divisional winner. Here's Magalhae. Sends it. Oh, back in the net there. What crazy moves. David Magalhae with the assist. Pretty much doing it all there, finding his teammate. Sneak it in. From the corner. Doing a little bit of... That's it right in the back of the net. Excellent stuff there from Futsal Factory to go up 3-1. Not sure who. I believe that was Marlon de Freitas who gets credit with the goal. But he didn't really have to do a whole lot of anything. Excellent stuff there. Assist from Magalhae. Here's a save. Another save from Bande. 5th save of the evening. Drew Ducker to put it back in the final third. Deflected off of a leg. Ducker sends it back to Damron. He will send it over the head of a player down the field. It looks like that was Guy Ramos trying to make something happen there. No, excuse me, that was Magalhae. Cadence trying to make something happen here. Anderson Diaz gets checked in the shoulder. No foul called, but they're able to retain possession. Here's Geraldo Ramirez Jr. Wanted the shot there, just a little too high over the head of Damron. And no, looks like it was a save from Damron, so they're going to get the corner. 3rd save of the evening for the current men's national team player. Let's see what Cadence has up here. Timing was off there. Was looking for Geraldo Ramirez to kind of swoop in and make some sort of header play. But it did go off of a Futsal Factory player, so they retain possession. That ball goes out way in the distance. And it'll be FFA retaining possession here. Maybe not. Ball going both ways, back and forth here. It is FFA possession, but a lot of out of bounds looks and opportunities. Here's Magalhae looking to do some crazy footwork once again. Gets tripped up damn near by the whole Cadence team trying to take him on. Here's Dux trying to pick him up. Finds us. Shot in the wing there. That was Marlon de Freitas. No save needed from Bande. They hit the post, so possession retains for Cadence SFC. Head coach for them, Jose Bande. 3rd season for Cadence SFC. Combined record of 8-26-3. Like we mentioned earlier, their most recent game was their loss at Inter Detroit 2 weeks ago today. Lost 6-3. Big standout player for them was Jorge Bolivar. As we have a transition opportunity on the other side here. Not able to make anything of it. Possession retains back to the factory. Returns back to the factory, excuse me. And Bolivar, who scored 2 goals in that last game, is not playing tonight. So, like we mentioned, only 2 players for this Cadence SFC team that have scored or assisted up to this point in the season. Olvi Solis, who has not seen any action so far, scored 2 goals, and Edouard Bande, their goalkeeper, has an assist. Everyone else looking to make their first in numbers this afternoon. Someone most likely did with that 1 goal, but that was when we were having camera issues at the time, so not sure what the result of that was. Bande trying to get involved in the offense, facing some pressure defense. Here's Diaz. Finds Padilla. Gonna get it stolen. Here's Magalhaes, one-on-one. Save from Bande. Great work there. Jumping out before Magalhaes had the opportunity to score. Schwartz on defense. Here's a shot. Padilla blocked off the leg of Ramos. Ramos trying to get in there. Ball's out of bounds. And sent back to Robert Damron. Ducker will take control of the offense, send it down the floor to Ramos. Goes out of bounds in favor of the factory. Magalhaes looking to do something crazy once again. Ramirez able to retain possession here for Cadence. He got triple teamed, so not able to keep possession there the whole way. Renan Pavia sends it out, so the ball goes back to Cadence. Here's Geraldo Ramirez. Sends it out of bounds. Now Thomas Dono, who's checked back in. Leading goal scorer for the Midwest, 14 goals, 3 assists. Second leading goal scorer in the NFPL behind Bacano Valles, who will be playing in the second half of our semifinal doubleheader for Colorado. Graham Unsworth, who's also checked back in, sends this ball in. Dono. Not on the same page, but Pavia is able to stop Cadence for the moment, but they will retain possession. It'll be Padilla to put it back in. Few minutes left to go until the end of the first half. 2.5 minutes so far. Futsal Factory 6-0 against Cadence 2-4 up to this point in the season. Transition opportunity. Here's Graham Unsworth looking for a teammate. He's going to take it himself. Off of the post. It ends up going out of bounds. So not off the post, excuse me, but probably frustrated with himself there. Was looking for a teammate, had his head swinging around. Trying to make something happen there. Not able to do so, but here's another opportunity. Magalhaes finds Dono. Swings it around. Excuse me, that was Pavia, who's off screen now. Thomas Dono, ball in his hand. Or on his feet, excuse me. Pavia finds Unsworth. Bottom of your screen here. Dono cross court pass, not able to connect. Wanted a highlight play there, not able to make it work. So possession will go back to Cadence. Needs something here to keep it close before halftime. Dono trying to push the pace as one of the keys to the game for FFA were not able to do it there, or at least do it successfully. He definitely pushed the pace, but not able to retain possession on behalf of Futsal Factory. So Cadence gets the ball back. They're looking to push the pace themselves. Here's Unsworth. Gets tripped. No foul called there. And the ball will go out of bounds, so Cadence gets the ball back. Bande trying to get involved in the offense now. Gets past the defender. Looking for another assist on the year. Jonathan Jr. trying to make something happen here. He's riding Thomas Dono. Some sort of foul. Not sure who the foul is going to be called on, but if you've ever seen a mechanical bull ride, that's what it was a nice visualization of what it looks like. Thomas Dono on the ground on all fours, and Jonathan Jr. trying to get the ball ends up sitting right on Thomas Dono's back. It is going to be a foul in favor of Cadence, though, so they will have a chance to put the ball out. Almost in the final third, not quite. One-man wall from Thomas Dono, protecting his heart and his cojones. Here's a shot, saved by Robert Damron. Excellent stuff there. Jumping out of the air to prevent that one from going in. Fourth save of the day for Robert Damron. So we'll show you this replay one more time. I do think they're going to look to move quick, though, so let's make sure we didn't miss anything here. Possession back in. So FFA gets the ball back. About 30 seconds left here in the first half. Let's see if Futsal Factory can capitalize, extend their lead. Thomas Dono finds Robert Damron. Back to Dono. Here's Pavia. Sends it into the back of the net. Renan Pavia. Off the pass from Thomas Dono. What a spot. Oh my goodness. Renan Pavia just gets it past two defenders and the keeper to send it into the back of the net. 4-1 in favor of FFA. And excuse me, I believe I've been mispronouncing his name. It's Renan Paiva, not Pavia. So we'll look to make that correction as the game goes on. Only a few seconds left. Robert Damron, what are we going to see here? He's just going to send it up into the air for time to expire. And it looks like that might be the end of the first half. Players are still on the court, so let's not treat it as such yet. Paiva gets the ball back. Trying to make something happen here. Here's Cadence towards the other side. On a transition break. Shot too hard, too far, and too wide. Excuse me. Maggle Hayes wants something. Straight into the hands of Bonde. Great save there. So now we're trying to figure some stuff out as in regards to what the time is on the floor. Anderson Diaz finds a teammate. And they'll look to reset. As it looks like we have a little more than what was 30 seconds left in the half at that point in time. Here's a potential steal. Cadence gets the ball back. Here's Junior. Gets the ball stolen. Magalhaes trying to make something happen. Philip Loicht is on the floor now for the first time this evening. Youngest player for Futsal Factory. Wants possession here. He's going to find the ball. Gets it back to Guy Ramos. Magalhaes not able to get that pass there. Here's a transition break. Jonathan Jr. looking for a goal. Straight into the hands of Damron. Great save. Fifth save of the evening. Something else here. Not quite. Here's Bonde. Trying to keep the ball moving back and forth. And it looks like that is going to be the end of the first half. Oh, not quite. We got a timeout instead for Futsal Factory. Big shout out to our graphics guy for keeping me updated. We'll take a break. We'll be back on the other side of this. Play has resumed here. Again, unofficial time there at the top of the scoreboard. Time is being kept on the court as far as we know. So Edouard Bande will throw the ball back in after the timeout from Futsal Factory. Junior looking to make something happen here. It was tripped up there, but possession will maintain for Futsal Factory. So the foul must have been on Jonathan Jr. There was some sort of clearance on the other side of the floor. It looks like Yarley Martins either body checked or did something to that Cadence player at the top of your screen there. Great to see he's back up and good, though. That shot from Bande way too high over the head of Damron, so the Futsal Factory gets the ball back. Some sort of trick shot competition going on there. And now it's the end of the first half. So 4-1 score in favor of Futsal Factory. Cadence SFC 2-4 record. Haven't won a game since February 2nd. Trying to hold on and make something happen here. For FFA, this is business as usual, leading at halftime. We'll see how we do with the halftime report and the second half coming up in a little bit. Welcome back to the NFPL semifinals, first half of our doubleheader here from High Velocity Sports in Canton, Michigan, the home of Futsal Factory. 6-0 this season, taking on Cadence SFC 2-4 with a lead of, you see it there in the top left corner, 4-1. Goals scored by Drew Ducker as well as Marlon De Fritas and Renan Paiva. As for the opening 2 goals of the contest, not sure who scored those as we were having some camera difficulties to start, but now everything is settled. I don't know if I should reveal this either, but I also couldn't hear in the first half, and now I can, so I'll be able to comment on some of the interactions going on in the audience. You may remember the very first game that Cadence had, they had some players enter the court in a bad way. And Cadence's home floor. We won't talk about that too much, so. Only positive vibes here going forward. The winner of this taking on the winner of the Southwest Finals, the other half of our semifinal doubleheader. And it was previously reported that Brusa would be hosting the championship game no matter what, regardless of whether they won today or not. But a ruling from the NFPL commissioner, Drew Ducker, is now that the winner of the Southwest Finals, the second game of our doubleheader, will be the host of the championship game. So if Colorado is able to come up with the win, they will be hosting the championship game at their home floor. So this is a recent development that has just come into place the past couple of days. Here is potentially a takeaway opportunity from Anderson Diaz. Not able to capitalize on it, though, as Robert Damron sends it out of bounds as we get this second half underway. It's been pretty standard play from both sides up to this point. Keys to the game for Futsal Factory were to limit the transitions as well as push the pace on offense. So pressing up on offense and on defense. They've been managing to do just that. Only 4 goals for them. It felt like they had more opportunities to score. Edouard Bande has been an excellent keeper so far with 7 saves in the first half. 5 for Robert Damron himself in the first half as well. Damron sends it up over the top of the net, so possession will go back to Cadence SFC, who, and we mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, 2-4. They won the first 2 games of the season against Inter Detroit and have not won a game since. So their last win was over a month ago, over 2 months ago, actually. So here's a quick save there. Another save there from Bande. First 2 saves of the second half. Pretty weak kicks there off of the foot of a Futsal Factory player, but regardless, we will count them anyways as they look to maintain some sort of rhythm here. Here's Drew Ducker. Finds Guy Ramos. Not quite. Bande able to get his hands underneath. And the transition opportunity almost finds the back of the net was Thomas Dono. Caught Bande out of the net, so he tried to sneak it in from all the way on the other side of the court. Not able to do so. Again, missed opportunities, probably the biggest way to summarize this game. Both teams have had opportunities that they haven't been able to take advantage of. That was great passing, but Guy Ramos not able to get the right touch on it. Just another example of those missed opportunities on both sides. Scoreline could look a lot different. A lot of great fans here at High Velocity, the home of Futsal Factory Academy, in their last home game of the season, as this is it for the Midwest Division. Winner of this, as we mentioned, will be heading to either Arizona or Colorado. Here's Ducks, potentially trying to get a brace. Another shot, opportunity. What are we going to see? Don't know. Not quite. Shots blocked all around. Now a transition chance for Cadence. Swings it around. And now it's going to be A foul on Guy Ramos. He was going for the ball, but Jonathan Jr., who had leg issues earlier in the game, will slide and get dropped. And it is going to be a yellow card on Guy Ramos. Obviously, or at least, I shouldn't say obviously, but in my opinion, nothing too bad there. I think Junior was also kind of looking for the foul as well. Able to draw the yellow card, so then we'll get the ball in the final third. Here's a shot blocked by the foot of Ramos. Renan Paiva not able to get that. Goes into Padilla's foot. Here's a shot way too high and wide of the net. So Ducks will lead the offense here for FFA. Paiva wanted Thomas Dono. Excuse me, he wanted Guy Ramos down the far side, not able to capitalize there. Possession will go back to Cadence. Again, Cadence playing with a pretty short roster, as well as a inexperienced roster when it comes to the NFPL, I should say. Only 2 players to record stats for them this season. I believe only 4 of them have played in a game previous to this one out of the 7 that they brought. Here's Andrew Schwartz trying to make something happen there. Too far left. Schwartz, one of the standout players for this team. 5 goals, 4 assists. Actually, the leading assister on this team. That was Geraldo Ramirez Jr. He's looking for a teammate. Miscommunication sends it out of bounds and into the final third for FFA. So almost a corner kick for Thomas Dono. Not going to find his teammate there. It's Anderson Diaz trying to make a transition. Chance happen, not quite. Goes wide of the net, wide right. No save needed from Robert Damrod. Damrod sends it down the way. Unsworth wanted a teammate, ends up sending it past the foot of an FFA player, so possession goes back to Cadence. Futsal Factory's been able to establish a pretty good rhythm with the way that they play, even though they haven't taken advantage of all the opportunities that they've had. Whenever they're on offense, it seems like everybody's on the same page. Here's Mago Hayes trying to make something happen here. Gets tripped up by Anderson Diaz. A foul call, but no card there. That was well, interesting in my opinion. There's a potential push off there from Mago Hayes. Obviously, Diaz didn't take too kindly to that, so gave him the good old trip, and now it's going to result in a foul in the final third. Just past the line. Mago Hayes put it in. Schwartz wants something, not going to get it to Yarli Martins, excuse me. Right way to pronounce that name. And High Velocity, a facility with multiple courts and multiple games going on, so you might hear some cheers in the background for a different event going on. Just something to be aware of as the game continues. That shot too far up. Damron keeps it in play. Bande trying to make something happen here, something quick. Looking for a quick shot there. Great 2 saves from Robert Damrod. First 2 saves of the second half. Both of those shots were taken by Jonathan Jr., not able to make anything happen there. 4-1 the score line. 16 minutes left to go. Winner of this game will go down to the southwest region of the United States, either to Arizona or to Colorado. If your screen looks like a Nintendo 64 game, so does mine. So we'll have to fix that for you guys. Potential steal by Junior. Potential steal, not quite. Here's Hendrik Padilla trying to make something happen here. Out of bounds there. Graham Unsworth able to push it out, but Cadence retains possession. Padilla finds Junior. Near side. Now that's Yardy Martins. Want something there? No, that's Andrew Schwartz, excuse me. Schwartz hasn't done a whole lot in this game. Looking to make himself known at least. Martins finds player on the top side. Going to move towards the middle. That was Magalhaes trying to make something happen. Had a pretty looking assist to Marlon de Freitas in the first half. One of the better highlights of this game. Just a lot of great footwork from David Magalhaes. Here's another chance for some good footwork. Wants a teammate there, not going to find him. Deflected out of bounds by Jonathan Jr. Addy Yarley Martins on the other side of the court. There's a wet spot on the court, so referee's looking to take care of that. If you've seen a futsal game in the Midwest, you've seen this referee crew. Some of the best in the business right here in the state of Michigan. FFA to set it in. Little hot kick given to Unsworth. Trying to spin it around. Not able to keep it in bounds, though, so possession goes back to Cadence. Ramirez started a possession, trying to chase that ball down, not able to do so. So the ball swings the other way. Philip Voigt is going to check in for the first time for the second time this evening. The youngest player on this Futsal Factory team. Pretty impressive that he has the impact that he does amongst his teammates. I respect him as just another one of the guys, even though the difference in age is pretty enormous. Some sort of talking going on between Yarley Martins as well as Hendrik Padilla. Martins is going to fall. He's going to lay on the ground and try to get the referee to call timeout for some sort of injury. Here's Robert Dameron trying to make his case known. Looked like there was some sort of collision between Padilla and Martins. Edouard Bande, the goalkeeper for Cadence, helping up Martins, just being a good sport about it. Martins has dealt with injuries to his lower body in the past. He is going to limp off the floor. Okay, this is looking pretty serious. I hope all is well for Yarley Martins. We'll keep you updated on his status for the game and for the season, as both goalkeepers and the head coach, Drew Ducker, came over to help him up and make sure all is well. Trainer will take a look at him. We'll keep you updated with his status for the game. Bande sets it back in. Here's Junior. Swing around. Trying to take the ball away. Was Voigt. Not able to. Marlon de Freitas on defense here. That is out of bounds. Off of the foot of a Cadence player, so it is going to be a turnover in favor of the Factory. Ducker to lead the offense. Sends it out to Voigt. Near side of your screen. Bande gets the ball back. Here's Cadence down the other way. At the top of your screen there. Padilla in the fixo spot. Typically a pivot player. Here's Mullen to Freitas. Found his teammate, but not able to get a good check on the ball. That was Lutz trying to maintain possession. But the Cadence player kicked it out of bounds, so it is going to go in possession or in favor of FFA. Ducks to kick it back in. Wants Dono. Dono yet to score in this game. The leading goal scorer in the Midwest, 14 goals, 3 assists on the season for him. Ball went to the other side of the court past that blue curtain on the top left side of your screen. Looks like a player's going to retrieve it. Or one of the coaches, possibly. Ball set back into play. Here's Ramirez here. He just sent it out, excuse me. It's going to be Philip Kozlucky. Out to Padilla. Trying to get past the double team. Almost does it. Tripped up, and now a foul is called in favor of Cadence. Too many players there on defense. Sometimes if you swarm them, you run into that possibility where you don't mean to make that contact. Kozlucky getting pressured by Dono. Monde sends it to the other side of the court and just flips possession around. "13 minutes left here in the second half. Wanted Drew Ducker there. Was Robert Damron, but not able to get that pass in. A lot of times you hear a voice yelling pretty loudly. That's usually Robert Damron yelling out orders to his team. Able to save that one just off the fingertips. Not sure if he needed to, but counts regardless. So that's his third save of the second half, 8th of the evening. And Philip Voigt will set the ball back in for Futsal Factory. Robert Damron, part of the offense now. Ball sent to Marlon de Freitas. No foul called there. It was all ball, according to the referee. No, not quite. They're going to say it went off the foot of a Cadence player. Well, both of those things can be true. Renan Paiva back in the game. Retains possession and will put it back in once again. Here's Dono. Looking for something magical here. Off the foot of Ramirez, and here we go. Wants Diaz. Finds him. Gets the ball back. Geraldo Ramirez. In the fixo spot. Facing this press defense of Futsal Factory. Futsal Factory up 4-1 with a little over 11 minutes to go here in the second half. Dono called there for the foul. Frustrated with himself, but recognizes that the call is correct. Here's a steal. Futsal Factory getting the ball back. Dono, top of the key, gets blocked by the Cadence players, so they will get the corner. It'll be Renan Paiva to put it back in. Scored that final goal at the end of the first half. Dono wanted another shot. He gets it, but it goes into the shoulder of Anderson Diaz. Pretty good defense here from Cadence so far, down the stretch. Here's Dono. Ready to find a teammate. Here's Schwartz. Wants something. Deflected out of bounds by Edric Padilla. Schwartz to put it back in. Not quite. Here's Dono. The far side. Finds Schwartz again. It's knocked out of bounds. And they're going to say it's a corner. Some confusion there from both teams as to where the ball would head. Dono wants something off the post. Almost. Guy Ramos was there to potentially put the ball back in, but not able to make the connection. That was a rocket off of the foot of Thomas Dono. Quick shot there. Here's Anderson Diaz back to Bonde. As Ramirez didn't find him, will instead turn the ball over. Thomas Dono looks for a teammate. Paiva trying to get a second goal of the evening. Not quite. He'll put the ball back in, though. Final third. Schwartz, shot too high. Possession goes back to Cadence. As we look to see a replay of that crazy shot into the left post. Oh, my goodness. Futsal is not typically a sport where they say it's a game of inches, but in cases like that, I would agree, I would say, yeah, it is. It's all about making the most of your opportunities. Very similar to the sport of soccer or football for those watching across the sea. Very thankful for those who are watching across the sea, watching some good U.S. futsal. A lot of players for Futsal Factory based in America. Some not. They got some international flavor on this team this year, including Yerli Martins, who went out with injury some time ago, as well as David Nagelhaze. But a lot of U.S.-based players up to this point. Here's Bonde trying to make something happen on offense. Wanted a teammate. He's going to find David Nagelhaze instead. But for Cadence, they had a lot of international flavor come into their squad this year after playing with mostly a youthful roster last season. So they were trying to mix that international team with their academy players up to this point, and just haven't had a lot of success with that 2-4 record for Cadence. Haven't won a game since February. Trying to reverse that here, but haven't had a lot of time with the ball in their possession. Less than 10 minutes to go in the first half. Sorry, in the second half. In the game. However you want to phrase it. Futsal Factory, great rhythm. Wanted Schwartz there. Just a little too far. Schwartz was there half a second earlier. That would surely have been a goal. Maybe not. Bonde's been doing pretty good as the keeper for Cadence up to this point in the game. Bonde finds Junior. Somebody asked in the chat earlier, is George playing? I believe they're referring to George Musasali, and I don't believe he is. He was not given to us as a rostered player this evening, so apologies to those who are disappointed by that news. This is a Cadence team that traveled with a roster that with 4 players that have played for this team prior to this game, 3 of them not, and 2 of them, according to statistics, prior to this. Here's Pavia. Wanted something there. Almost past Bonde, and it gets past him. Quick footwork from Paiva. That's going to be David Nagelhaze getting his first goal of the evening. Bonde just loses that ball in between his legs. 5-1. As Paiva was doing pretty good up to that point. Sorry. Edouard Bonde, the goalkeeper for Cadence, was doing pretty good up to that point. And the seal just breaks loose another time. A 5-1 lead for Futsal Factory. 9 minutes left. I don't want to say it's impossible to overcome, but when you have less players to work with, less chemistry than the other team, certainly less possession time, because Futsal Factory's been playing with pretty good rhythm up to this point in the game. I don't want to say the odds seem insurmountable, but it might be looking that way here in the Midwest Finals, the NFPL semifinals. Here we go. Another turnover opportunity has Graham Unsworth. Wanted to shot himself as Mago Hayes not able to put it in. And something to consider. It was... Never mind. I was going to say something that was incorrect, so I'm going to bite my tongue there. Paiva off the leg of a Cadence player. Graham Unsworth was trying to make something happen there off the leg of Edric Padilla. Possession goes back to Cadence. 8 minutes left to go. 4-goal lead for Futsal Factory. There is some sort of altercation going on, and a red card given to Cadence. That was Anderson Diaz. What the hell just happened? Oh, and there is a fight ready to break out. Oh, this is getting ugly. Both teams getting involved now, just trying to break things up. Anderson Diaz has lost his temper. The crew in red just trying to keep these teams separated, preventing anything from breaking out. Thomas Dono showing love to Jonathan Jr. there, trying to keep the peace, as well as Drew Ducker, who went towards Anderson Diaz, just saying, hey, get off the court. And obviously there was issue being taken with that. Now it's off camera at this point, probably for the best, but clearly Diaz did something to Unsworth that warranted a red card. Just obviously some sort of frustration getting into his head. It seems like at this point he's been escorted off the court. Now referees are explaining, so it looks like referees are explaining to the Cadence SFC staff what just took place. I imagine everybody saw it besides you and I, you being the viewer. And there is some chatter, friendly chatter, I should say, between Cadence and Futsal Factory at this point. So looks like whatever tension was there has been resolved. Thank goodness. And it seems like something in Diaz must have snapped, and he just decided to take it out on Graham Unsworth. Thankfully still on his feet, so nothing too bad there. But regardless, the consequences of that action result in a power play in favor of Futsal Factory, which means it is going to be a 4-on-3 matchup. And I said the chatter was being friendly. Now we're seeing these guys towards the middle right of your screen talk about it a little bit. Edouard Bande looks like trying to explain his team side of the story. Looks like that's Renan Paiva and Guy Ramos listening, as well as Captain Robert Damron. But now the teams are separated. Like I mentioned, power play set to take place here in a second, so you're seeing the game time at 7:56, and underneath is the 2-minute timer. So it'll be a 4-on-3 or 5-on-4 if you want to include the goalies into that equation. And that timer will continue until it runs out or until Futsal Factory scores. So very similar, if you've ever watched a game of hockey, very similar to how their power play works. It's just a man disadvantage for a couple minutes or until the favored team gets a goal. On the power play is going to be Ducker. Looks like Dono was there on the now right side of off the screen. Robert Damron has now made his way onto the opposite side of the courts. They are going to look to use that keeper as part of that man advantage. Looks like Graham Unsworth is still on the court, but Paiva will take his place. So play has resumed. Here's Paiva. Finds a teammate. Down. Wants a quick shot. Not able to get it out. Or is able to get out. Excuse me. That's Jonathan Jr. Sends it to the other side of the court. 1:44 left on that clock. Here's Ducker. Pushing the pace, part of that offensive tendency of Futsal Factory. Dono. Finds Mago Hayes. Here's Dono. Paiva. No, excuse me, that's Guy Ramos. With the goal. Fourth goal of the season. Like clockwork. Had Adwar Bonde in shambles. A lot of great footwork from the Futsal Factory crew. 6-1 is the score, and now the man disadvantage or advantage, depending on how you look at it, is removed. So power play goal scored by Guy Ramos. Six to 1 being the scoreline now. So we talked about being at a man disadvantage. Great save from Robert Damron there. Fourth save of the second half. Ninth of the evening. So even though the on-court disadvantage isn't there anymore for Cadence, they only showed up to the building with 7 players. So now there's only one substitute in addition to the 5 men on the floor that you're looking at right now. So if you compare that to Futsal Factory, who's there with 5, 10, I believe 12 or 13 players, it's a huge disadvantage to already be at 7 and then to lose a guy because he couldn't control his temper. That's just unfortunate stuff for Cadence. And sometimes it's just part of the game for international futsal players. There's obviously a different culture with the way that they play over there as opposed to how the game has been played in the United States. Yarley Martins, who's now back on his feet and playing not gingerly, playing very well, actually. So glad to see him back up and at it again. Obviously, the trainer must have worked some magic to help him out. Foul called on Cadence. It'll be Ducker to put it back into play. Sends it out. Shot too high from David Magalhaes. And for Magalhaes, that was his first goal and his first assist of the season earlier tonight. In addition, some of the goal scorers, Drew Ducker as well as Marlon de Freitas and Renan Paiva. Graham Unsworth on defense here. Ramirez in the fix-up spot, facing a double team. Not quite. A little dance there from Hendrik Padilla. Glad he's having a good time. Down 5 goals. Here's a steal. Graham Unsworth trying to put it in the back of the net. Yarley Martins sends it out. Magalhaes. A little bit of a trio work there. Magalhaes. Oh, great save from Edouard Bonde. Use the fingertips to send that one out of bounds. Ball back into play. Ducker wanted something in the bottom right part of the net. Not able to get there. Goes too far wide. Roughly 5.5 minutes left to go in this game. Don't want to say that odds are insurmountable, but it does seem as if Futsal Factory is going to run away with this one, as they have all year long in this division. Robert Dameron keeps the ball in play, keeps that clock rolling. Clock is probably the biggest enemy for... Oh, a great goal! David Nagelhays! Second goal of the game, second goal of the season. Excellent work there to extend the lead to 6 goals. I do believe his name is pronounced David Nagelhays, so I apologize to him, his family and friends who are tuning in. Excellent work there. Probably has some of the best footwork on this Futsal Factory team, a team that has been very impressive all season long. And now that the win is pretty much secured for Futsal Factory, they can start to play some of the younger players, such as Philip Voigt, as well as others. Try to preserve some of their stars. Like Robert Damron, who is now taking a seat on the bench, it is Matthew Pletcher, the young keeper, who's been shadowing Damron all season long, in as the goalie. So we've seen Pletcher have some struggles this season up to this point. There was going to be a game in which Damron wasn't able to go. It was going to be that March 22nd game against this Cadence team that Cadence ended up forfeiting. So that's something where we could have seen how Pletcher would do in a full game setting. That shot's off the chest of Bande. Here we go, Nagelhays trying to get another one, not able to capitalize on that. A great save there from Bande. 12th save of the game. I'm very curious to see how Damron performs on a national championship stage in just a couple weeks. Championship game will take place 2 weeks from today, 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Something to keep in mind is that Arizona does not observe daylight savings time, so typically this game would take place at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, but instead they did not observe it, so it is it would be a 9 p.m. Eastern Time start. Just something to keep in mind, as well as tonight's game, which is being hosted in Arizona. So that is something where that game is going to start in 5 minutes. I didn't even realize that. Checking with the officials down in Arizona to make sure that's not the case, to make sure that we have time to finish this game as well as get started on the next. That will be Bruce FC against Colorado. Here's Voigt. Sends it out to Schwartz. Hasn't had a lot of playing time. Went out less than he typically has. Guess the game plan just hasn't called for him to be on the floor as much. That ball goes through the leg of Nagelhays. That shot's wide. Actually went off the foot of a Cadence player, excuse me. So with a few minutes left to go in this semifinal match, both of these teams just trying to play out the clock, and Cadence trying to make the scoreline look a little bit better than it does at the moment. Only 1 goal scored towards the beginning of the game. Looks like they just they caught Futsal Factory off of their feet when they weren't paying attention, as far as I know. But Futsal Factory's just been a complete success in terms of the rhythm that they played with. The game plan being executed to perfection in terms of pressing high on defense and pressing high on offense as well, pushing the pace. They've had perfect rhythm against this Cadence team that just doesn't have a lot of chemistry with each other. This is a Futsal Factory team that knows where the other guys are going to be at all times on the floor. Clearly a team that bonds pretty well together. And Futsal Factory easily their best season yet. There could be some arguments made as to the type of competition that they played being the reason for that. But regardless, here in the NFPL, this is their first and only undefeated season. As far as I know, it's the only undefeated season to take place in the NFPL up to this point in its history. So they have a chance to achieve a record. That shot goes off the post. But you're not ready for that one. So one more win after this would cement history in the NFPL for Futsal Factory. But that is some tough competition down there in the Southwest. No matter which team wins tonight's game, the second half of the doubleheader. It's gonna be a pretty good game, regardless. So excited to see what goes on there, and I'm excited to see what happens in this next game. Less than a minute here to play. Looks like a hard foul there. Not going to get called there. Nope, check that. They will. Graham Unsworth has been getting beat up all night. Ball doing a lot of that passing back and forth kind of thing. Cadence starting to settle in and just recognize that this is not a game that they're going to win. They're just going to try to see if they can make the scoreline look any better. Only a few seconds left to go. Trying to get another goal there was Unsworth. Shot too high up. Okay, so we have confirmed there was some miscommunication amongst the media folks as to whether the game was taking place at 9 o'clock Eastern Time or 10 o'clock. As again, Arizona does not observe daylight savings time, so some of the communications between us and the Arizona folks can get kind of mixed up there, because we were looking for that final buzzer to take place any minute now. So it is going to take place at 8 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time, 10 o'clock Eastern. And that is going to be it for the Midwest Final. Your Midwest champion Futsal Factory finishes the season at 7-0. They dominated the Midwest Division all season long. Ran up the score on Cadence and Inter Detroit. And now they have a chance to prove themselves to earn the first undefeated season in NFPL history in 2 weeks from today against either Brusa FC in Arizona or Colorado Futsal Academy in Aurora. We'll look to play some highlights here for you in a second. But on behalf of everybody here at High Velocity, Noah, our cameraman, Luke, our producer, and myself. My name is Garrett Pog. Thank you so much for joining us for the Midwest Final. As we say so long, and join us back in an hour for the Southwest Final, Bruce FC versus Colorado Futsal Academy. See you then.